Good morning. Okay, it's March 29. Almost at the end of the month. Tuesday, I think it's April 1st. Yeah. We go to our Funkin' Wagnall and take a peek. But let's not. Oops, I'm on the wrong side. Producers, swap cameras. There we go. I like being on this side. Can I see what time it is? Just barely. Let's, just... There we go. Now we can see our whole little setup here. We don't need to see my my paper towel. Let's see. Here's our elapsed time. This is the day and date. It's 5:07 a.m. Takes me about 30 minutes to get the station warmed up. Yep. Now I gotta get that going. I gotta get that going. I gotta get this going. I gotta get my soundboard going, and of course, I gotta get this going. Yeah. And then we're ready to start talking. You know, if you have Xfinity, okay, if you have Xfinity, you can go back and watch the 6 o'clock news on Fox News, Brett Barrett's show. Yesterday and the day before. He has like a 2-part series where Elon Musk, who has agreed to try to save us from ourselves, so to speak. Yeah, because if we have to change what we're doing as far as the U.S. government is concerned. It's a must-do. You know, it's not going to be that painful for the citizenry. It's likely going to be painful for some politicians. If you watch the 5 at 5 o'clock on Fox News, they have 5 people that sit around the table. Judge Janine sits all the way on the left side of the table. I almost, I almost agree with everything that she says and how she says it. She's a former judge, a real judge. Not the court of, some silly judge that deals with, these people that agree to accept, that you got some guy that beat up someone else's car and they sit in front of, She's not that kind of judge. She's the judge that actually put people in jail, kind of a judge. Yeah. But they have, you know, you want to go back to Thursday. Brett Baer's show, where Elon Musk is sitting. There's 2 rows of people, okay, sitting in front of Brett Baer. He's on one side of the studio, and then you got these 7 or 8 people sitting, facing Brett Baer. And they're Elon Musk and his 7 helpers. They're all independently wealthy. At least 2 of them are billionaires. One of the guys started A, B, and B. Okay? Elon Musk started the Tesla company. Then he and you know, it's the last 2 years in a row, the Model Y, the Tesla Model Y, was the best-selling car, you know, in the world, beating out Toyota and Honda, and not electric cars, any car. It's the best-selling any car. It happens to be electric. I happen to have one. I'm on my second one, actually. You know, I mean, and he started from nothing 12 years ago, almost went out of business 11 years ago, twice. But, you know, got through the, you know, because he had to, you know, fine-tune the original design, and he had issues with the motor and the drive unit and the battery packs and all that stuff. But he got through all that. And now he's built a factory. If you've ever taken the tour of a Tesla factory, which builds cars at the rate of 1 every 40 seconds, a Model Y, or, you know, a Model 3, or a Model X, or a Model S. He has 4 models, and they come off the assembly line 1 every 35 to 40 seconds. Okay? And it's 95% automated. You got these robots that are picking up pieces, putting them together. He has this giga press, he calls, where he makes the whole front end, and he makes the whole back end. He eliminates about 320 parts. About 170 parts for the front end is now one molding, and the front end eliminates another 175 parts for the front end and the rear end. And he's got the battery pack in the middle, and they all come together. You know, it's, you know, if you don't actually have to go to Austin, Texas, but you can go to YouTube Live. Go to YouTube, and in the search engine, just type in tour of the Tesla factory. And he has walked around with a couple of people. You find 2 or 3 different people that he has walked around the entire factory, and you look around, you know, in this video presentation that takes an hour or an hour and a half, whatever. You just have to see it to believe it. It's, you know, why haven't we been doing it this way all the time? You know, it's easy when someone's already doing it, but it's taken a long time to figure out what robots to pick. And I may make a copy of a piece of that tour, and have it running on this display while I'm talking. And you can, you know, I'll point out things to you and just give you a 15-minute tour of the factory. I'll try to, cut out the slow parts where they're walking from one area to the next and just give you a condensed version. But it's really quite remarkable. As an engineering kind of a student that I have been, it is really something to behold. Elon calls it, and engineering people call it, the machine. The whole factory is in total a machine that makes machines. In other words, this machine with all this automation, and 5%, is stuff that, it's not worth it to have a robot. It's too inconvenient to figure out how to do it robotically, so humans do it. And some of the motions are so repetitive. He's designed a humanoid robot to do some of the most boring things that even a human doesn't want to do. And you'll have the robots do it. So that'll be 98% automated, because he has built now the version 3 of an actual humanoid robot that walks around. It's called Optimus, and he's made 5,000 of them. Can you imagine all these? He's made 5,000 of these humanoid, robots, because he's already in the robotic business. He's about to release in June, which is March, April, May, June. In 90 days, or 80 days, somewhere in June, he's going to release his RoboCab, and it is going to be. It doesn't even have a steering wheel or pedals. It's going to be the beginning of automated driving. Where you just get in the car, you tell the car where you want to go, like you would a taxi cab driver, and it'll take you there. And it has cameras and robotics and all this. And he's got permission to do it in California by the California Department of Transportation. And he's got it approved for the Texas Department of Transportation. And he's going to, launch it, if you will, in Austin, Texas. And then he's going to, simultaneously launch it in Southern California. And he's, manufacturing right now about several hundred or 1,000 of these RoboCabs and release them. Basically, you can buy them if you want. You want to buy 1, 2, 3, 10. It's going to cost about $25,000 a piece. It's a 2-seated unit with lots of storage in the back. So if you want to go to the airport, you use your application, similar to like if you were going to call up an Uber, but you're going to call up the Tesla RoboCab. There's no driver. There's no steering wheel, there are no brake pedals. You sit in the front, 94% or 92%, somewhere in the 90 percentile. Most ride hailing is for 1 or 2 people, not 3 or 4 or 5. That's there are, Ubers that have 3, 4, and 5 people, but that falls in the 6%. So they're going for the 94%. And if you have 4 people that want to go to the airport, call Uber. Don't call RoboCab. It's that simple. So they've designed a very spacious 2-seated luxury seat sort of RoboCab. You put your bags in the back. The doors swing open like this, and the RoboCab, as soon as you tell it where you want to go and fasten your seatbelt, the doors close, and off you go to wherever you want to go. Whether it's to the grocery store or to wherever you want to go. and he'll be making millions of these units. But right now he's making like 100 or so, and opening it up in 2 cities, Austin, Texas, and Southern California somewhere. So that's the beginning of RoboCab. Simultaneously, he's going to be releasing version 13 of the software package that'll work in your Model 3 and your Model Y, your Model S, and your Model X. That'll be released in the mid part of this year. Also, not necessarily, it could be in, let's see, it may be July or August. I'm plucking numbers, I don't know. But right now, he has full self-driving, if you will, supervised, in which, you keep your hands on the wheel and you're due diligent watching out the front windshield as the car goes from point A to point B. If you tell it where to go, it'll go to that address, but it's supervised, which means you keep an eye out in case you see something you don't like, or it's going too fast or too aggressive. And I understand version 13.2 is a big step from version 12. And very soon he's going to be releasing, like mid-year this year, the full self-driving, autonomous driving. In other words, they'll remove supervised, from the title of the software. So you're going from beta software, in a sense, to the full self-driving. And you don't have to activate it if you don't want to. You can drive I have a Model Y, you can drive it, I turn it on if I'm going anywhere. Even if I'm like 5 miles away, I turn on the navigator and push home, and it takes me home. It looks out for, traffic accidents or whatever. It's tuned in to all the traffic stuff. It superimposes it on the Tesla mapping software, so forth. So this year is going to be the year of automated self-driving cars. I watched the opening speech of the Consumer Electronics Show, where the CEO of NVIDIA basically said the same thing. He and NVIDIA, they're working on, with Mercedes and all the major car manufacturers, with competing software, if you will, to the Tesla self-driving software. Mercedes is going full bore ahead into automated self-driving vehicles, where the steering wheel will be eventually going away in most of the modern cars this year or next year. Now, Tesla is still building steering wheels in their cars, but I understand the Model 3 and the Model Y, which I'm currently driving the Model Y, will be drive-by-wire. In other words, the steering wheel will not be connected with a shaft to a mechanical thing that turns the wheels. The 2 front wheels turn left or right or stay straight because of the way in which you hold the steering wheel. They're going to eliminate that pipe that goes down to the front wheels. And the steering will be an electric. It's almost like turning a volume control. When you turn the steering wheel, signals are then sent to actuators on the front wheels to turn left or turn right. So that's called drive-by-wire. fly-by-wire, same kind of thing in an airplane. The controls in the cockpit are by wire. They don't have shafts and, pulleys and so forth actuating the different control surfaces of an airplane. It's fly-by-wire. Well, driving is going to be drive-by-wire soon. So Tesla has created, invented, designed, and manufactured the actuators that will actually move the wheels left and right based on the position of where the steering wheel is. But there's no pipe going all the way through to some mechanical surfaces. So, that's coming very soon. That'll just be incorporated into the models after September of this year. It's going to be drive-by-wire instead of having this pole going through the firewall and all that stuff. Yeah, it's taken us 100 years to get there, but it's the way it is. And in 2026, next year, the Optimus humanoid robot will be available for sale, basically to the buying public for about $20,000 a copy. I also understand this is, projected, but Elon thinks he can make them for about 10. He'll sell them for 20. He's going to have them for rent for, let's say $300 a month. So you don't have to pay $20K. You can just sign a lease agreement for $300 a month or whatever the number is, and you'll have your little buddy. I told Marilyn I want one. And keep me company when everyone's out of the house and I'm fooling around here in the studio. He can sit next to me and help set this thing up. I'm going to call him Billy Bob. A committee of 4 have decided his name is going to be Billy Bob. Billy Bob, would you take out the trash? Billy Bob, would you wipe up the vomit that Keno has just placed all over the floor with some paper towels and put it in the trash and clean the floor? And while you're at it, would you put some gloves on and clean the toilets and wipe the floors and wipe out the sinks and make this place hygienically clean? There'll be about 1,000 or so steps that this robot will know how to do. Okay? About 1,000 things. You can train it what to do. In other words, I will train it. I'll say, Billy Bob, follow me. I'm going to take you, take this bag of trash, put it in your hand. Here's the key to the apartment. Put it around your neck in a lanyard. I have this lanyard right here. Oops, where is it? It's right here. And on this, oops, I'll just take it off. Show you if I can. Oh, gosh. There it is. It's tied up with my headphones somehow. Hold on a second, I'm coming. There we go. I have headphones on and glasses on and all that stuff. So here's my lanyard. You can see it through all this busyness. It's got a little clasp there where I put my keys on it. They're hanging on a key hook right now by the front door. I put this around my neck. So, Billy Bob, take this lanyard, put it around your neck, which I'm doing right now. There we go. There's my key. It's got a nice big clasp on it. It's a nice leather lanyard. Of course, I got it on Amazon.com. I got 2 of them. I took one up to when I visited Robin, and I can't find my second one. This is my backup one. The second one I put on my credentials when I'll show you. Show and tell here at 5:30 in the morning. So this is. Let me think about this. These are my press credentials. If I can get it off here. Remember, this is like we're out having coffee together. Here's my hot coffee. Excuse me while I can take a sip. Let's go full screen on Jimmy here for a minute. There we go. So, whoops. Cover this up just so we can focus on. So this is my press credentials, huh? There's Jimmy. It says press, media. This is press credentials for the Observer newspaper. It's kind of like out of focus, but you get the idea. There's a QR code. You can scan that. Use name, phone number, hat size. See, that just fits right on here. Now I got my press credentials on my lanyard. So I go to an event, it costs $200 a ticket. I've got my press credentials. This basically gets me in just about everything there is. Backstage, front stage, places where the press can go. So that's hanging on my door. Should be hanging on the other lanyard. But eventually, I'll just put those there for now. Anyway, that's my lanyard. Going back to Optimus, Billy Bob. Looks just like it looks like, like science fiction, this Optimus. You can go to YouTube and see Optimus. Let's see if I can, let's get this out of the way. Optimus. There it is. I was hoping to find a video, but here's. This is December 2020. Producers, could we add Optimus to the and switch, and please put me on the right where I belong. Swap cameras. Thank you very much. So I have a video camera right here. That's where I am. You can't quite see me. I have it more on my setup than I have it on me because I don't want to scare everybody at 5 in the morning. But that's what it looks like. Yep. That says Tesla on there. Optimus. This is the second generation as of December 23. So this is now December 24, March 25. So this is 15 months later. And Optimus has come a long way. Anyway, here's Optimus in a Tesla factory. Tesla releases new Optimus humanoid robot. It's created a lot of. So I did a search. See, this is May 2024. So this is like a year ago. You see the word Optimus is highlighted, so I have to go back to the search. So here's articles. Here's headline, May 6, 2024. Tesla's Optimus robot in action, sorting batteries and roaming the factory floor. Yep. There's a close-up of the head. A search within a search. Let's do that. Let's look it up. There we go. CNET has a story about it. You know, I was looking for like a video so you could see this thing walking around. Yeah, it's kind of amazing. Here's CNET. This is like version 1. This is 2002 when it started walking around. See, it's it doesn't have a skin. It just has all these leads, flowing through the different body parts of the Tesla robot. But this is, just a couple of years ago, and now we're up to version 3.5. See, here's the $20,000 cost. That's good, huh? Anyway, so that's what's going on. So Tesla's, they're basically in the robotics business. They build cars, and they have computers. Let's see. There you go. This is today. Yep. At 4:55 is when I started sitting down here putting the final touches on trying to open up this little broadcast that I do 5 days a week, and early Saturday and maybe early Sunday. I don't mind doing it every day. I just clicked this article right here. Someone was, I guess it was Bill Hemmer, was talking about the fact that this whole part of the state of Florida, is red. This is, a map of who won which counties in the state of Florida. You can see this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counties out of 67 counties that are blue. That went for a majority of those voters voted for Kamala. And the other, I think there's 63 counties. There's 67 counties. So 62 counties went for him. So he got 6 million. What interested me when he was just talking about this 2024 results a few days ago, 30 electoral votes. We have 30 congressmen in the state of Florida. He got 6,110,000 votes. 6,110,000 votes. Kamala got 4,683,000. So he got 56% of the vote, which, 56-43 is pretty much a landslide victory for anybody in any state. And here's the electoral vote count. This is kind of like final election results. He has this electronic board. You can pull up any state. It shows there are about 3,300 counties in the United States. So you can see county by county and who won what. And if you look at it across the whole map, it looks all red. Kamala won the big cities, New York, LA, Chicago, Illinois, and a few surrounding counties, and Trump got everything else. It's amazing. It's 72 million votes for her and 77 million votes for Donald J. Trump. There's about 3 million votes different. Can you imagine? Just 3 million votes. And one person's president rather than the other. Because there were, 146 million votes. 146 million votes. Out of 300 and, half the country didn't vote at all. Imagine. I don't know what the voting population is. We got 340 million souls in the United States. But, a certain number of them, 15 or 20% of them are underage. You got to be 18 or over. So how many? Let's try that as a test question. Hey Siri, how many voters are there in the United States of America? Let's see. Hey Siri, in the election of 2024, how many total voters could have elected a president? I'm not asking the question right. Hey Siri, potentially, how many people over 18 years of age are in the United States of America as of 2024? Population. All right, let's hit this one. Again, nope. You have to. All right, let's try this. Ooh, download. No, I want to view it. Okay, let me show this to you. There we go. The magic of modern technology. All right, so there I am. So now this is on my other. I have to kind of hold it because and if we look at this chart, resident population 18 years of age and older. So of the 340, so we got the Northeast, Midwest, and South. United States. So the 300, you can add up with this one. And you got it broken down into, let's do a print screen. We got there. Gotta push these two buttons. All right. So I'm just going to go right here.
It's 5:45.
It's 5:45. My computer just told me. There we go. That's it. Done. Save the photos. So now I'm going to go to photos. Ooh. gonna get it for you now. Just hold on. Don't get off on no tangerine. There it is. All right, well, that's good enough. Let's see it. Focus. There it is. Okay. That's my duration. That tells me how long we'll just leave that that way. And we'll go back to this one right here. And we'll get that out of here. If I can. This is live television, folks. You gotta be patient with Jimmy here. Yeah. Okay. Now we got it. Now I just have to prune it a little bit so we can see it, and then we can talk about it. There we go. Get it just like that. Okay, come up here. Estimate. All right. Done. So now I'm going to make this full screen so we can talk about it. There we go. Now you can see it. So the United States as a total, the resident population total, this is estimate as of, 2024. 340,100,000. The resident population 18 years and older is 266 million. Now remember, Trump got like 76 million and she got 73 million. So that's 149 million. Let's just say 150 million. So if you subtract 150 million from 266, there's 100 million people didn't vote. 110 million people. Let's just round it down. So in an election, 78% of the population can vote. But only 150 million voted. So that means 116 million people, let's just say 100 million people didn't vote. That's, you can do the math. Let's do the math. I have a calculator right here. So, let's just say 150 million people voted. Oops, one too many zeros. Divided by 266 million. We just saw that. Equals So 56 times 100, so we get percent. So 56% of the American population that could vote, voted. 56%. That was a big election. It was like one of the biggest, which is 56%. That's the numbers. No. What am I doing? No, touch screen. Touch the wrong button. So there you go. 266 million could vote. And here's the South. 132 million total population in the South, but only 103 million of the 132 million is 18 years and older. In the West, 62 million. In the Midwest, 54 million. In the Northeast, 46 million. Interesting. So you can see there's a heck of a migration of people from the Northeast to the South. And there's also a migration of a lot of people from the Northeast to the Midwest, like Tennessee. So this number is going up. You see my little arrow there, the red arrow. Okay. So we learn a little something every day here. Around here, we try to keep you guys guessing. On the 29th of March. Oh gosh, yeah. I have a lunch appointment on Tuesday, April 1st. Yeah, I believe I do. Yeah, Houston's. I was happy to see yesterday the Texas Children's Houston Open golf tournament. And my favorite player, Scotty Scheffler, it got rained out at like sometime in the afternoon. So when Scotty just finished the 13th hole and parred it, he's in second place. But look at this hole. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got 7 people within 2 strokes of each other. With 5 holes to play. There's 14. You got he parred 13, so you got 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, so Scotty had 5 holes to go. I understood they started playing again at 5:30 in the afternoon Eastern Time, which is 4:30 in the afternoon Central Time, and I think Houston is Central Time zone. Anyway, so that's all I know about that tournament. At 5:30 in the morning, they're just getting up and doing their early morning stretching, and by 6:30 or 7 in the morning, they'll be out there on the driving range hitting balls. Yeah, that's what they do for a living. Yep. I heard there was a story on YouTube, and I'm kind of like, it's 9 o'clock at night, and I'm kind of newsed out. We watch, Marilyn comes home, she gets home at 5 or 5:30. I record The 5. It's a show that's on 6 days a week, 5, Monday through Friday. The 5. It's on your Fox Cable News channel. It's channel 428 if you're on Xfinity, if you're in the local area. It's cable Fox, not the network broadcast Fox, it's cable Fox. So we watch The 5, and then we watch this, like the tracker, and Janine took over for the 7 o'clock show. So we watched that one because we're like time lapsed, about an hour behind. We watched a little bit of Brett Baer so we could see him interviewing these 6 or 7 people that are part of the, this Doge, where they're going through, all the secretary of this and the secretary of that, and they're going through all their departments. And these are all, 40, 50-year-old people at the top of their game, if you will. Several of them are, and Elon is, several hundred billion. There's a couple of billionaires on there. There's a couple just, very successful people in their own line of work. They're all different disciplines. They're all donating their time and months of. They've basically taken a leave of absence from their companies, whether they're board members or CEOs. They're not teenagers. They're just that smart teenagers. Now each of them has probably 10 or 15 people under them. So you have 8 people managing 8 people managing 12. So you got a team of 100 that are going around separately to different departments, Social Security and the Defense Department, and they're going through the books and records and basically doing an audit of where the heck the money's going. And one of the things, how about this? They found out from the Social Security Administration. Now listen to this. This is not possible. There are 15 million, over 15 million people that are over the age of 120 collecting Social Security checks. Right now. 15 million. Not 15. 15 million. I actually don't know of anybody. I don't know everybody in that 341 million people that we just saw. How many? 340 million people, yes. I don't know. I don't know exactly, how many of those are over 120. Maybe one. I've heard of 110. I've heard of 106. 120, I don't know. But according to the Social Security Administration, currently they are sending out checks or direct depositing 15 million Social Security checks to people over the age of 120. Now, how could that happen? Well, I can tell you how it happens. And I'm looking at Marilyn square in the eye. And I said, look, when I drop dead, and I will drop dead. Now, if I predecease you, meaning I die and you're still with us on planet Earth, you're required by federal law to notify and send a copy of the death certificate to the Social Security Administration to stop my Social Security check. You're not supposed to keep getting them. And if while you're grieving or whatever, you are required to stop the payments. If because you're grieving too much and you didn't get around to it, and it takes 45 days for a death certificate to be delivered to you from the state of Florida. You got autopsies, maybe no autopsy. If there's no if you drop dead before I do, I got to notify the Social Security Administration to stop your, we're both getting Social Security check. Now she's still working and getting a Social Security check because she's over the age of 72 or whatever, 72. You're allowed to earn all the money you can and still get a full Social Security check. You can't do that at 64 or 5. There's an age when you can start earning. There's in the early years of 65 and over, you're limited to like $42,000 a year, and there's a formula. That's why God made TurboTax. It'll tell you, and there are different tax limits based on how old you are. Anyway. So, if she dies, I gotta stop your check. If I die, you gotta stop my check. You can't keep getting the check. So that's how some portion of this 15 million is the surviving spouse did not stop the check. Or if you've got a father and son living together, and the father's 80 and the son is 65. Just making up a story here. If Papa drops dead, son cannot keep getting those Social Security checks automatically deposited in your joint checking account. And that's, the surviving family member is required by law to stop the Social Security check. They don't know that someone's dropped dead. You got to tell them. And if you don't, it's a felony. They can actually put you in jail if it's... Anyway, so that's what you're supposed to do. And if you do use TurboTax, which for simple tax returns, it costs you, $50, $60. If you're following a joint return and you have some side income, it might cost me $125 to do hard tax return because of they priced it out. It's all competitive. There are other companies that provide those tax services. I prefer TurboTax. I've been using it for ever since Bill Barnett died. I had my favorite CPA friend, William C. Barnett, passed away about 7 or 8 years ago. And then he used TurboTax. He did my tax return on TurboTax. He did all his tax returns on TurboTax. They have a CPA version, for people that do other people's tax returns, which Bill Barnett did. He had about 40 or 50 clients over his, even though he was like semi-retired, he still did my tax returns. Thank God. And all of a sudden, bam, he passed, he died. He went up and visited his son, and boom, he never came back. And he died on the couch. And that was the end of that. I got an email or a text message from his son saying, sorry to notify you that Bill Barnett passed away in his sleep last night. I got a text message or something from his son living in Jacksonville. He lived down here. Bill lives in Boca Raton here, did my tax return. I visit with him. I give him a folder full of stuff, and he would do my taxes. And he'd call me up about a week after I gave him the package, and a folder, in a big manila envelope with my name on it. I'd knock on his door and hand it to him. Here, Bill, how you doing? I'd go in and have a cup of coffee with him and so forth. And I said, here's your package for my tax return, please. Or joint return. And after a cup of coffee, I'd leave him alone. He's working on someone else's tax return, week later, I'd get a call, and he'd ask me a few questions, and he said, "All right, this will be ready tomorrow afternoon. You can come by and pick it up. It'll be." He charged me, $300 or something. It cost him. He told me it cost him $60 for the module for my tax return. TurboTax would charge the CPAs that have a master account. They download a special CPA version of TurboTax, and then for each client, so he'd pay several $100, I'm guessing, for the master module that a CPA would use. And then Jimmy in Maryland, he'd pay a $60 fee to TurboTax for the Jimmy in Maryland module for 1995. And he did it for like 30 years. And he up and dropped dead on me. And that was like 10 years ago. So now I've been doing TurboTax for, let's say, 8 or 10 years. And you've got all the prior years, so when I do this year's, which I'm going to start doing next week, I do it for myself, I do it for son Daniel, and I do it for son Brennan. So I do 3 tax returns, a joint return for, separately. Mine costs about $120. Daniel's costs about the same. He has a real estate license, and he's got real estate expenses, so got to do a Schedule C, for him, Schedule C for me. So that extra, costs that extra. So instead of 65 or 70, it's 129, I think. Brandon's is 70, 65. He just, has one job, one paycheck. This is pretty simple. Anyway, so when you have all the prior years, you get all the prior information, the addresses. So if no one's moved and this and that, all the, this year's tax return is preloaded with all last year's stuff, except the numbers it shows you a column of what last year's was, and then you fill in the column for this year. The first year you do a tax return on TurboTax, that asks you 1,000 questions. Literally. What about this and what about that? And did you do this and did you do that? Yes and no and no and yes. And you go through this whole thing. It asks all these questions that, your CPA would ask you. Well, TurboTax is asking you. It's designed with a whole building full of CPAs. Engineer this thing every year, and when the tax law changes, they modify, the TurboTax setup. So when you log in, it's all set with all the new tax information based on what happened in Congress last year, if anything. Always some little jiggle here and there that TurboTax keeps track of. If you do your taxes with H&R Block, for example, they have a whole series of Q&A. So if some guy walks in off the street with a package of stuff into an H&R Block office, those people that sit at those desks, I had a couple of bank employees, lenders, that went through the training for H&R Block, and for several weeks or months before April 15th, starting in January, they would put in time at the TurboTax office locally in their city, and they'd receive customers that walk in off the street, and you go through all the Q&A with them and complete their tax return. Takes a couple hours, and you print it out and have them sign it. And you staple all the appropriate things to staple to it. File electronically if possible, and give them their copy of their return. You pay them, $75, $80, and you're done. Anyway, I do it myself with TurboTax. And last year I had son Daniel watch me do his return with the idea that next year, so he watched me last year, he's going to watch me this year, I think. And then next year he's going to do his own. And we're doing the same thing with Brennan. This year he's going to watch me do his return again. And then next year we're going to try and get him to do his own. We'll see who starts doing their own the first. I mean, they'll keep doing it if they want to do it. We haven't talked about it. I told them to watch the mail for their, W-2s. They can mail them out. They're supposed to be in your hand no later than, the end of January. Plus 7 days short of mail. Yep. So mid-February, everyone should have all their W-2s in hand. Otherwise, you call your employer and say, I need my W-2. And they are required by law to give you a duplicate copy. If, sometimes the mail doesn't get to you. So you can have your employer email it to you, fax it to you, however method you can do. You put it in an envelope and put it at the front counter. I'll pick it up. So that'll be next year's activity. You probably heard there was a big earthquake in Bangkok, Thailand. Look at it on a map, it's Mboy. Mboy. Bangkok. Slumdog Millionaire, remember that movie? That was a story about, how a part of society lives in Bangkok. The low end of the society. In Mumbai, Bangkok, Thailand. They had a huge earthquake. 7.7 on the Richter scale is, you can see the collapsed building in full color here. And you can see the layers. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's probably a 20-story building under construction. Unfortunately, when architects design buildings, and this was some kind of an architectural disaster, big earthquake, buildings are designed for the load going down. Gravity pulls straight down. So you have levels and things, so you make sure the level. You have to have special. See, there's a building in the background here under construction. Now that one didn't fall down. There's a reason for that. I don't know the reason. What was wrong with the architecture of this building? But obviously the architect was familiar on how to deal with loads that are going left and right, and shaking, and so you got 5 different directions that load can come. You can have forces from the left, forces from the right, forces from the front, forces from the rear. So you've got this this entire feature of movement left and right and down. Okay? And most of the early architecture, let's say 100 years ago, going back to 1925. Yeah, I mean, this is 2025, so you go back 100 years. 1925, 1900. I mean, architects were in the United States were very cognizant of how to deal with forces, front and back and left and right, and of course the majority of the force is down. In California, there's a lot of earthquakes. Those buildings are designed to handle the swaying in an entire circular pattern that's not just downward force. And if you don't design that into the way in which each floor is fastened to the columns that hold the floors, those clips have to be, the concrete structure has to be able to handle forces left, right, front, and back, and of course, down. There are millions of pounds per floor. It depends on the size of the floor plate. But most modern buildings, built, there are certain efficiencies. And, a floor plate that's 10 or 20, 20,000 square foot floor plate. I mean, you can calculate. It's easy to calculate, how much load is down on these columns. If you take a 20,000 square foot floor and the floor is 12 inches thick, the thickness of that concrete with reinforcing iron in it, you can see the reinforcing iron that's embedded in the concrete floors. It's millions of pounds per floor. I think I calculated in the World Trade Center, those floor plates were roughly 40,000 square foot. And, if you got 12-inch thick concrete per floor, just real simple, it's about 4 million pounds per floor. So if you got, if you just take the top floor, say it lights a fire, a plane flew into the building. You just take the top floor. Forget floor number 60 or 65 or whatever. Let's just take the top floor. It starts burning. And the plates, the metal clips that are attached, this angle iron, that's, that the concrete is resting on. And you got all these columns throughout the floor plate on a 40,000 square foot floor. I calculated it was about 4 million pounds of pressure. Now, if those plates give in, now you got 4 million pounds that comes down. That's the 100th floor. It hits, the plate of the 99th floor. Well, it's going to go. If you got 4 million pounds of concrete coming down 12 feet, when it hits the floor underneath, it's going to give way. So now you got 8 million pounds coming in, to the 98th floor. That, so you can see this plate, the block, and a block, and a block. I mean, it it goes down like, a house of cards. It goes every time one floor hits the next. You got all that concrete hitting the floor underneath. Then you add 4 million more pounds to the 97th floor. So you got 4 plus 4 plus 4. You got 12 million pounds of concrete hitting the 97th floor. Then it's 16 million pounds hitting the next floor down. And it just there's no stopping it. That's all. And then you add, assuming everybody got out of there. God forbid there's somebody got squished. I mean, you got 10 million pounds, 12 million pounds of concrete coming down on top of you. You turn into a hamburger. You just get squished. It's just, you're a pancake. It's, no pain. You're over. You're a blood stain between this floor right here. You can just imagine if there are people in there. Forget it. If they're missing, they're these are spectators. These aren't survivors. These are people that they got emergency helmets on and so forth. Some of these people are news people just taking pictures. Anybody that got caught in that, it's over. And if someone survived, they're half squished, and by the time they get to them, they dehydrate and die. The dust, their lungs fill up with concrete. To remove all that stuff, you're going to try to find somebody in the middle of that. It'll be, 1 in a million shot of surviving that kind of a catastrophe. But that's, and then the aftershock was 6.4, so then all that rubble gets shook, and just oh God. I mean, the thought of surviving all that is a frightening thought. There are buildings like this all over Bangkok that are just down. They had a shot, a newsreel, of like a 60 or 70 story, I'm going to say a condominium building. I'm making this up. I don't know what the hell kind of building it was. I'm saying a condominium building because on the very top of this, what looks like a 70-story building, and if you see the newsreel of that, shoot it with your camera to freeze frame it, and then count the floors. It's got to be 50 or 70 stories up. I didn't do any kind of freeze frame to get a shot of that, but just looking at it real quick, I've financed a lot of 25-story buildings, so condominium buildings, so I have an idea what that looks like, and it looked like it was twice as high as that. So I'm going to say, let's say 50 stories, but on top was, like a sun deck, where they had lounge chairs and, a place where you could cook your hamburgers and, 4 or 5 grills up there. I'm imagining this, a big swimming pool, a wading pool for the little kiddies, and 10 foot deep for people that wanted to do diving and all that kind of stuff. It was a big pool. It's probably a 25,000 gallon pool, 50,000 gallon pool. 20 by 30. You can do the math. You can do. You can Google how many gallons per cubic foot. I think it's like 7.4 gallons per cubic foot of water. So you do 20 foot, 20 foot by 30 foot pool with an average depth of, it goes from 3 feet to 8 feet, that's an average of 5.5, just say 5 feet, average 5-foot dip, 20 by 30. See how many cubic feet that is? Divided by 7.4. That's how many gallons the pool is. I can tell you. I think I had a 25-foot pool by 25 by 18, something like that. It was 18,000 gallon pool in the back of our house in Old Floresta, Boca Raton. 18,000 gallon pool. Yep. Length times width times average depth gives you cubic feet. And then divide by that by 7.4. And that tells you the number of gallons in the pool. Or, let's see. You multiply it, So you get the cubic feet. 7.4 gallons per cubic foot. So you divide it, and that tells you the number of gallons. Multiply it. You would multiply it by 7.4. If you got the cubic feet, 7.4 gallons for 1 cubic feet. So if you got 2 cubic feet, you multiply it by 7.4. Times length times width times average depth times 7.4. Then I'll give you the average number of gallons to the nearest gallon. Forget the decimal points. I had a 3 horsepower pump on it with 2 80 square foot filters. Those filters were about 14 inches in diameter by about 3 feet tall. I had to have 2 of them in parallel in order to handle a 3 horsepower pump that was throwing out about 160 gallons per minute of flow. I had to have 2-inch pipes coming and going to the pool. Buried them. Put the pump over there around the other side of the garage. So I added about 25, about 50 feet of 2-inch pipe to get the pump away from where you could hear it, When we bought the house, the pump was right next to the pool. Who the hell wants to listen to it? It was like a 3/4 horsepower pump. I said, are you kidding me? This pump, the water will be green, You gotta have that water moving. And that pump and the filter, traps all the algae so it never gets a chance to grow. It had an automatic chlorination situation. We put in tablets inside a canister and control the flow through there and make sure that you had a constant chlorination to keep the water sterile, so you wouldn't have bacteria and stuff growing in this hot Florida. Pool temperature was, in the mid-80s. Forget heat, you don't need any heater. I had a pool heater, but I rarely turned it on. In the middle of the winter, maybe in January, February, you might have a 40-degree temperature. You turn the heater on, the pool would be smoking. You have 85-degree water out there and 45-degree temperature. It looks like a hot cup of coffee. I had a pool heater just for guests that would come down. I turn the water, get the water hot for them. It's like a huge reverse cycle air conditioner. It's 100,000 BTU reverse cycle air conditioner, in a sense. 100,000 BTU. It would take about 6 or 8 hours. Because the temperature of the water would drop down to around 70 in the middle of the winter. So you have to get that up to 82. Then if you jump in or you tiptoe in 82 degree water, it's going to feel nice and warm to you. Yeah, when it's 45 degrees outside. I only turn it on if I had, the kids aren't going to swim in the water in the middle of the winter. But you got to keep the pump going. You got to keep it chlorinated. You got to, with a 3 horsepower pump, you're throwing 160 gallons a minute through the piping of the, the inlets and the outlets. Yeah, really pushing that water around. You got to do it. You run that pump 12 hours a day. I had it, running on 3 hours, off 1 hour, on 3 hours, off 1 hour, at a time clock. You keep it coming on and turning off. I never let the water sit still more than 2 hours. Maybe it was on 4 hours, off 2, on 4 hours, off 2. Yeah. 24-hour day, it was running at least 12 hours a day. But not 12 contiguous hours and then off all 12 hours. I'd have it coming on and off like 3 or 4 times a day. And you never have to vacuum it. It's, you don't need anybody to come clean the pool for you. The pump did it all. Yeah. So you pay $500 for the pump, and you don't need that $50 a month, $100 a month pool service. You don't need it. I bought a new vacuum and everything, never used it. A brand new vacuum rolled up in the garage. I don't think I ever plugged it in. Never needed it. We had a screened-in pool, it's a big pool. Yeah, it's almost 20,000 gallon pool. Typical resident pool is 15,000 gallon. This is, 30% bigger. Anyway, that's my pool story. Let's see if we can, as some of you know, I trap. So here's a company, something different. Because I drive an electric car, which quite frankly is it's the best car I've ever driven. There's no other way, and we've driven them all. We've had the expensive 2-seater Mercedes, we had the expensive 4-seater Mercedes, we had the nice SUV BMW, the X7, I think it's called. The X5 was like a compact version of the SUV. The X7 was the best at the time, 15 years ago. Then we went. Who the hell needs to spend all that money for a car? Then we went, for 10 years or so driving Hondas. We got 2 Hondas, one for her and one for me. She liked this color, I like that color. She got a black one, I got a white one. Same exact car. I'll take 2. Yeah. Got them on leases, so you pay $350 a month lease payment. 2 of them, $700. Yeah. 3-year lease, turn them in, get a brand new one. I did that for 2 kids and Marilyn and myself. We had 4 Honda leases. Then we switched to Toyota Corolla, I think it was. And the Acura, I think the Honda Acura. Yeah. Just magnificent, well-built vehicles. Yeah, they really, the Toyota people and the Honda people really know how to build. I had Honda generator. I have one right now. I got a little 2,000 watt Honda generator that I converted to run on propane instead of gasoline. So I have it all wrapped up, sealed up in our apartment here. And if for some reason or other the power went out, it's happened once or twice in the last 10 or 12 years. But when you run the engine with propane, you don't have a gummed up carburetor, it can be sitting in storage, for 3 or 4 years. And, the one pull of the string, to start it, it starts on propane. Just, one pull. It can be sitting in storage for 2 or 3 years. You just make sure there's oil in the crankcase, and it'll start right up and run your TVs, run a refrigerator, you run extension cords around to some of your important things. I had butane stove things, so if you want to boil up some water for some pasta or make some rice, just emergency food. If all the power's out, you can't go to a restaurant because they're out also. You open up everything and get the fans going, batteries charged. Yeah, that's what you use a little generator for. It's real quiet. You put it on the balcony, no one can hear it. Surround it with some cushions from your outdoor furniture and build yourself a little cubicle there where the generator can run, get with enough air moving around. And I have a couple of electric fans. They just plug into one of the plugs near the generator and have blowing fresh air on the generator, and surround it by 2 sides so the neighbors can't hear it. 15 feet, 20 feet away from either side of a neighbor. The guy above and below can't hear it. So nobody out in front can hear it. We're on 8 stories up. So I think I've used it once in 12 years we've been in this building. One time the power went out for like a week. We got a room at a local hotel. Just moved out, went to the hotel. Came over once a day to feed the cats. Take care of the automatic litter box we have. So we go over and say hi to the cats for an hour. Feed them, water them, make sure the litter box is emptied. We have this automatic thing that rotates and cleans out the cat excrement. Cats go to the bathroom like 2 or 3 times a day. That's all automated. $700 device. Anyway, so circling back to electric cars. The fuel tank is a battery. So I'm kind of got myself and Marilyn thinking about how many miles of range is remaining in the car. Let's take a look. We can go to the app. When you buy a Tesla car, you load an app in your phone. Of course. Here's let's see, it seems like my setting is a little bit weird here. Let's go to accessibility and go to text size. Yeah, we're way over. I don't know how that got over there. We need to get this over this way. Yeah, I think right there. Now let's go back to the Tesla app. There we go, that's better. Now that setting got jumped up. Anyway, there's the Tesla app. I've actually, there's a way of changing the color of the car. And I changed it, it's actually black. But when you have black on dark gray, you can't hardly see the car. So I electronically painted it red. And you can do that. There's a menu setting where you can actually change the color of the car. So I made it red. But you can see it's parked. I can't do a reverse pinch on there. I can scroll through all the menus. There's a software. See, it says software update. And I hit release notes. So it's waiting for me to download the software, which I'm going to do today. It's in a structured parking garage in this building on level 2 of the parking garage. And it's on the south corner of the building in the parking garage. But there's no Wi-Fi in the garage. This is like assuming that it's in your own garage, in your own house, where you have Wi-Fi bleeding into the garage, and it would automatically download into the app, and then you tell it when to install it. I actually have to connect. I turn on the hotspot with my phone, and then that links up with the car to download the software. Yeah, that's what you got to do when you live in a building that has 200 people in it, 200 families. So, because there's no Wi-Fi in the garage, which makes sense. Anyway, so you can see there's the location, 101 Plaza Real South, and you see, I can reverse pinch that. You see that blue circle? That circle that's above Chops? That's where I am. I'm on the 8th floor. There's apartments above me. There are 2-story townhouse things above me. I'm on the 8th. There you go. See that blue dot? That's where I'm sitting right now. And you see the red arrow thingy? That's where the car is, right there. In the structured parking garage that's underneath this swimming pool arrangement that they have. Oh, there's the swimming pool. This is where they have a putting green kind of a thing over on this side above us. I'm on the 2nd level. It's on the 5th floor. So 3 stories above me is all this stuff that's open to the outside air. This is like a little clubhouse thing. There's a swimming pool. It's a big U-shaped building. So that's where the car is. Because it's connected 24/7 to the internet. I pay $10 a month for it so that I get downloaded into the car's navigator all the information about the local traffic, local weather conditions, where all the Tesla charging stations are. So when you're out driving around, if you're taking a road trip up to, Jackson, we're in South Florida. So if you wanted to go across to Tampa, for example, they have Tesla. Tesla's been building a charging, they call them superchargers, and they're like 15,000 of these charging spots all over the United States, all over North America. About 15 or so thousand. There are about 5,000 in Europe and about 15,000 US. And I think there's 5 charging stations per week are added to the network of charges I mean, they gotta make a deal on real estate. They gotta make a deal with the power company. I read a report where it costs Elon Musk et al. It's a separate partnership that owns the charging stations. It's probably an affiliate of the Tesla Inc. So a separate affiliate owns all the charging stations. It's all Tesla stuff. It's not private, not privately owned. It's all part of the public company, I believe. So if you own Tesla stock, I think the income from the charging stations goes up through, into the Tesla stock. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, I read a report where it costs Tesla $43,000 per charging station. So if they have like 10 of them, that's a $400,000 or $500,000 investment that they're making for a 10 stall charging situation. And they try to put these superchargers where, near a coffee shop, near a Starbucks. I mean, like, 200 steps away, a half a block away, you're gonna have a coffee shop or the back entrance to a mall. They have a charging thing on the second floor of a parking garage in the Boca Town Center Mall. So it's over by I would call it the Neiman Marcus parking garage. On the second floor, there's 12 charging spots. And on your map, on your navigator, it will say like 7 of 12. That means 7 of them are occupied of 12, so there are 5 empty charging spots. It keeps track of it, and it comes right up on your map in your car. All the charging stations all over the United States. So, depending on how zoomed in you are and what kind of a road trip you're taking. I mean, we have a plug right next to our car, so we plug it in every other night and fill it up. So here's South Florida. There's Boca Raton, and you can see the blue dot is me, and the red arrow thing, that's the car. I mean, you go back. You can reverse pinch this, or pinch as much as you want. You see, there's that. This is near the mall. There it is right there. There's the charging station. You see, it says 11. So there's 12. Now this is a 3-story garage, so it's underneath. This is like a Google map kind of thing. So right in that spot, 11 of the 12 spots, their car is right in there charging it. Let me see. Do I have that right? Let's see some other charging stations. There's one down here. Probably means there are 11 open. Yeah. Let's see if I touch on it. Yeah, 10 of 12 stalls. Now it's 11. Yeah, so you can see I touched on it, and it says 10 and 12 stalls are available. And they're up to 250,000 watt stations per station. So, and the charge off peak, see 4 or 5 is 27 cents. And the peak hours between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. they charge you 41 cents a kilowatt. But right now it's 6:49 a.m. So that's down here where that white spot is. You're in the 27 cent per kilowatt bracket. The home charging, the price per kilowatt in a residential house or building like we're in right now is 14 cents a kilowatt. So they're getting twice the home rate, if you will. But, the only time we go to supercharger is if we're on a road trip somewhere. Or just happen to, here's a picture of where you drive in, They make it pretty easy for you. 6,000 Glades Road. You push a button, it'll take you right to it. I touch it right there. It gives you turn by turn on how to get there from here. And it's 4.5 miles in 12 minutes. You can see. It takes me door to door. The fastest route is 12 minutes. What could be easier? This is taking it right off the navigator in the app. So I'm using the app. Yeah. There we go. Get back to the app. Hit that arrow. There we go. Here's my charging stats. Let's touch this. So this is month to month, the last 31 days. Based on what it would charge, it would have been 100 based on our actual driving. Assuming a 25 mile per gallon, gasoline engine, I would have had to use 128 gallons of gas at the current gas rate. And it picks it up. It picks up the gas rate based on where we are. So it shows. So I saved $125 not having to. Here's the whole year's worth of. The red is supercharging. We moved our parking spot into a place where there was a plug. That's all the blue. And the red is supercharging, where we couldn't, our car was always in the stall and couldn't plug in, so I had to charge it at the mall. Maryland's work is about 3,000 feet away from that stall in a building next to the mall, so across the street from the mall. So she would charge up early in the morning or late in the afternoon, or we'd go there Saturday and Sunday and fill them up. So last year it cost us $330 in electricity for 3,966 kilowatts. Yep. And that's about 6,500 miles. We drive about 6,500. Wait a minute. Yeah, we drive about under 7,000 miles a year. We turned in our 3-year lease Tesla a year ago, almost to the day. We've been driving this new one for a year. We had one for 3 years before that, and it had 19,000 miles on the odometer. So we got 6,800 miles on the car. You can see the odometer reading down here in the bottom. It says Model Y dual motor. You see down here in the bottom. It's got the VIN number, the software version in the car. 6,813 miles. Here's the specs of the warranty. Autopilot, black paint, white premium interior, solid black, 19-inch Gemini wheels, long range all-wheel drive motors and battery, 5-seat interior, supercharger network, pay as you go. I touch warranty, here's a warranty. 50,000 miles. Everything's covered. Expires March 17, 2028. This is 2025. We have this, so the warranty actually goes beyond our lease. There's a 4-year everything warranty. We turn it in 3 years, so we're always in warranty. Battery warranty, 10 years, or I'm sorry, 8 years. 8 years on the battery, or 120,000 miles, whichever comes first. The drive unit, same thing. 8 years, for 120,000 miles. You divide 6,000 into 120. It'd take me 20 years to get there. We turn the car in every 3 years, so. But if you bought it, if you laid out, the car costs $50,000. So you either pay at least $550 a month, or you write a check. I prefer the lease because you're paying for the money cost and the depreciation, nothing else. See, she plugged it in last night, and we charged it to 90%. There's this sliding thing right here. I can slide this. I set it at 90. I've read 1,000 manuals. They say 80% recommended. Yeah, but then you plug it, I go to 90. So you don't take it down below 10%, and you don't take it up beyond 90%. So that means 20% of the battery. It's a 300-mile battery, so that means 60 miles of range you never get to use. You can. If we're going on a road trip, you could set that to 100. It's okay. Occasionally, if you go to 100, but they really, for best performance of the battery, longevity of the battery. If you want to get to that 120,000 mile limit, we turn the car in with 20,000 miles, so that's 100,000 miles short of the warranty. So we never get anywhere near there because we turn it in every 3 years. It's a high technology product, and it's best, it's amazing how the car looks exactly the same as the one we turned in. I guess if you put them next to each other, you can see certain nuances, but it's, the design is pretty much, the same every year. They just little tiny things here and there to optimize the coefficient of drag. That's one of the major components that interferes with, getting 400 miles of range rather than 300 miles of range is air resistance and the friction of the rubber on the road. There's a certain amount of friction, which that's energy, and wind resistance. If you're going 40 miles an hour and you stick your hand out the window, you can feel the pressure on your hand. Well, you can imagine the pressure on the front end of the car. There is pressure. Now, the design, the actual shape of the car has been put through wind tunnels, and they've really optimized the shape for minimum wind resistance. The coefficient of drag is like 0.23. The lower the better. You see some of these sports cars, the Lamborghinis, what I call the spaghetti cars. Their coefficient of drag is like 0.3 or 0.35. The coefficient of drag on this SUV, the Model Y, it's kind of a mid-sized SUV. It's not the biggest. 5-seat with a nice storage thing. Hatchback in the back, with 75 cubic feet of storage space back there. You can fold down the two back seats, or the three back seats, so you get even, if you really have a bunch of stuff to load up in the car. But normally, if, the seats are up and there's not much in the back. You go to the grocery, you put all the bags back there. I use Instacart a lot for shopping. And they deliver right to the door. I don't even have to go to the store. I know exactly what I want. Instacart is quite magical. You pay a little bit more, but what the heck? You don't go to the store. You don't get the germs. We go to the grocery store maybe 3 times a month. Actually walking in. And probably to get my drugs out of the drugstore. The Publix pharmacy. Anyway, so this is the app. The iPhone app. You want service? You press the service button. What do you want? You want the owner's manual? You want a request service? You push the request service. Exterior, interior, collision, glass, tires, wheels, battery. You got all these. The software isn't working right. Whatever you want. We've never had service. How about that? Oh wait, I'm sorry. We had. I took it in for service because I was afraid that I was, the first time we had the car, not this car, but the last car. After about 1.5 years, I just drove into the service center and I said, could you just look at this car? Is there anything I should be doing that I'm not doing? I said, no, everything looks good. They plug it into a computer and the computer looks at that computer. He says, everything is, all your wheels are in balance. They're up to the proper air pressure. He says, your 12-volt battery, I guess it was like, it was like 18, 20 months. He says, since you're here, let's just swap out that 12-volt battery because you're down here in South Florida and it looks fine, but let's just put a new one of those in there. He said, do you mind waiting about 10 minutes? We'll just swap out that battery. We'll put a new lithium-ion battery instead of that lead-acid one. We've kind of upgraded the batteries. So let's upgrade your battery. So they actually have a lithium-ion 12-volt battery. Even though you got this huge 350-volt battery underneath the floorboard that runs the whole between the wheels all the way across. They call it a structured battery. They got all these batteries in a titanium case that's basically the floorboard of the entire car. It's all battery. All sealed up in a big, it's enclosed in 6 millimeters all the way around titanium, sealed up with a cooling system with ethylene glycol, with some couple of small radiator units in the front, just and a couple of fans. They don't come on unless it's necessary. Usually if you're going forward, the air, just the forward motion of the air going through that radiator, and then the ethylene glycol circulates around, keep the battery, under 90 degrees. Or if it's real cold out, it'll warm the battery to keep it up, above 60 degrees. Either way, we're in a warm climate, so it would, the cooling system would run to keep the battery under 90 degrees, I believe this. Anyway, so we had nothing to do. There's no, if the car needs something, a light will come on and tell you what to do. But there's nothing to do. Your tires are good, they're in balance. There's no excessive wear. We swapped out that battery. That's about the only thing I can. This is the service guy. He said, I'm like the Maytag repairman. There's no one here. It's rarely, because you're a low mileage driver, so you only put on, 6,500 miles a year. See, they can see. They don't even need to plug in because they have, the system that they have. They can see everything about the car in their computers without having to open up a hood. There's nothing there. They have a trunk in the front and they got a hatchback in the rear. The electric motors are all sealed up they're totally sealed systems. You don't add any oil, there's no filters. There's a filter for the air conditioner, the circulating air inside the car. He says, but that's something that would be changed out, in 3 or 4 years. You're 18 months, so there's nothing to do there. It's kind of like unusual. How much? We drove the car for 3 years, and there was not a single light ever came on. I drove in there just out of curiosity. Am I doing this right? Am I supposed to be coming in here periodically? He says, well, if your tires are out of balance, we move the tires around and rebalance them, but your tires are perfect. The way you drive, you haven't hit any potholes, so your camber and your caster, all of that is, locked in steady, and your tires are in terrific condition. They look like they're brand new. Got lots of tread. I turned it in with 3 years, full tread on the tires. You put a quarter in there, and you take a picture of where it matches up against a quarter. I tell you, when you turn the car in, if you drive like a crazy person, you may have to replace the tires, and they're like $450 each. They're special tires for Tesla. Special tires, spec'd out to Tesla's requirements. So you can't just go to your basic, Walmart and get your tires changed. You pretty much have to go to a Tesla station because there's special tread for sound abatement because there's no engine up front. And so the only other noise that really the car makes is you can't hear the electric motors. There's one in the front and one in the back. Is the road noise. So the tires are specially engineered to minimize the amount of noise that comes out of your tire as it interfaces with the street. So there's a special tread that they've engineered, and the interior, the thickness of the rubber, and all, whatever there is to design with the tire, it's specially designed for the Tesla car, and it's for noise abatement, the lowest possible noise factors. They've been, they have all kinds of different treads they've tested, over the 10 years that they've been selling Tesla cars. Model Y is one of the newer ones. Last 2 years, it's been the biggest, most successful car sales in the country, I think, and Europe. I think the European continent and USA and all North America, the Model Y is the biggest selling car. Gas or electric, not just electric. Including, Honda, it's outselling the Honda Accord. There's no model that sells more than the Model Y Tesla. The 2004 statistics aren't out yet. They're coming soon. The question is, will it be 3 years in a row, or did somebody edge it out by a couple thousand cars? It's a little down from what they expected, but I think everybody's a little down from what they expected. So the question is, how much down is it in relation to every other car? Yeah. But for 2003 and 2002, the Model Y has been the biggest selling car of all cars that are manufactured. And it's about 1 million, million two, about 300,000 or 400,000 cars a quarter. A Model Y comes out of the factory every 45 seconds. Another one comes out. It gives birth to another car. And because it's self-driving, when it comes out of the back door of the factory, it drives itself with the paperwork in it to an assigned parking place outside of the factory. So this particular serial number, VIN number is in parking spot number, D672 or D673 or, whatever parking. So that way when the car carrier comes to pick up the car we ordered and delivers it to, Boca Raton, the cars basically self-drive themselves to the loading area to be put on the car carrier. And it's, the computer just drives the car to the car carrier. Now the guy that's driving the car carrier, he does the rest. But the car actually drives itself out of the factory to a spot. There's not like a guy that drives it there and then runs back. No, the car drives itself out of the factory and through all the whatever the route is to get to its assigned parking space, which is like, I'm making it up, like E371. And you see these cars, they're coming out. I mean, they had like a drone or something or other taking videos of the cars lined up coming out of the factory, and they're all driving themselves to different spots in the different parking lots, all around the factory. Lot number 127B, 126B, where there might be 100 cars, each 100 car. I'm making all that up. I'm not making up the part where the car actually drives itself out of the factory and into a parking spot assigned to that car, which I ordered, or someone ordered. They don't make cars for the hell of it. Everyone orders it, puts a deposit down at $250 or something or other. And then when your car is actually being manufactured, it takes like 7 hours to build your car, something like that. And a new one comes out the back door every 45 seconds, I believe. This is the last number I heard. So, crazy. How much service you doing, sir? None. What was your service expense? 0. There's no oil. There's no filter. You don't change anything. And you plug it in, and then you unplug it and you coil up the wire and put it in the back, in the hatchback. There's no, no gasoline on your fingers. There's no, you stand there. Just plug it in overnight. And it takes, if you ran it down to like 10%, so if you ran it down so you only had 30, it's a 300-mile battery, so the last 10% is 30 miles. You rarely ever get there. When it gets below 45%, so if we go to the top of the thing here, let's get out of service. We come back to the top here. You see it's at 90. When I can touch that 90, it's 258 miles. This 300-mile battery is down about 290. So it's a year old, so the battery runs down around 7% from the EPA number. It stays up there for about a month. and it settles down about 7% lower over the year. Not 7% every year, just 7 or 8% the first year. And then it levels out as far as range loss from the battery itself. We charge it to 90. Maybe twice a week. You can see that chart. Where is it? That charge stats. So you can see that graph. That's year, let's say month. So you can see the number of blank days, like in the middle of the month, it's the 10th, each bar is a day. So there's 1, 2, 3, there's 4 days, 5 days, we never even plugged it in. The 17th we did, 17th, 19th, there's 2 days there, there's 3 days there. So it's every 2 or 3 days you plug in. Marilyn has to go to West Palm Beach a couple times a month. That's where you see the lines closer together. Sometimes she rides with somebody else, and then she doesn't have to drive to West Palm back and forth, which is, 50-mile run. But all added up, we're at 6,800 miles for the year. Because I just showed you the odometer at the bottom, so it says 6813. So you divide that by 12, it's 600 miles. It's 550 miles a month. Not much. Let's see, location. You can schedule your fill-ups. We don't do that. We just plug in whenever it gets below 45%. Rarely do we come in here and it's at 10%. Because, the plug's right there. You plug it, so you either plug in or you don't plug in, We have a software update. It's 32 amp service, our plug. So that's like a 7,000 watt charging rate. Now she only added 69 miles of range for this charging session to get it to 90%. Which tells you how many miles of range was added. That's how you think. You think in terms of range. You don't think in terms of gallons because there's no gas. And you don't think in terms of kilowatts because that doesn't really... it's about 2.5 to 3 kilowatts per mile, if you do the math. But, who cares? The factory cares when they're designing the batteries and all that kind of stuff when they come up with a design. But as a car user, all I care about is that 258 miles. So it's fully charged to 90%. You can take, if you want to know what the full, so by chart, if you take a 258, let's clear that, 258 and divide by 0.9, because he charged to 90%. So 100%, our 300-mile battery is actually 286 miles. We've lost 14 miles off that 300-mile battery. I think it was 303. Yeah, so 18 miles of range is lost just because of the lithium ion, doesn't stay at 100%. It keeps coming down a little bit. Level off, maybe it loses 5 more miles this year. So maybe that 258 miles at 90% is some smaller number. So See, I have the app loaded in my iPad here so I can show you and so I can see myself. It's in my phone. I got a phone here. I have it turned off just because this system is going to try to use the camera in the phone. So whenever I come on the air, I turn off the phone. So I have the Tesla app here in the app. So in case I want to see it, I come over here and see what the notes are. It's been 1 year since you've taken delivery. Mileage checkpoints. At this point, you should be at 10,000. Well, I'm not. I'm at 6,800. If you're over that threshold, you can buy additional miles. Purchase additional miles. You push that button right there and say, okay, you want another 1,000 miles because you're going to get to 11,000 miles this year. You can pay $225 right now, and you can buy an extra 1,000 miles. I don't need it. I won't get anywhere near 30,000 miles. So 30,000 mile lease, 10,000 miles a year. See, they're telling you this is my anniversary. You need more miles? You should be at around 10,000. Well, I'm not. I'm at 6,800. 3,200 miles short of 10,000. Supercharger. What's going on here? Supercharger site. How's it work? Yeah. What the hell is this? Let's find out. Okay. Supercharger and voting. So I'd have to go find. Yeah, we're not gonna vote. I don't think so. Let's go back to Tesla. Yeah. I just want to know the best chargers in the country. We charge, mostly every once in a while. Marilyn, she's running a little low. She'll fill up at the Turnpike. They have 12 or 16 stall charging thing at a Turnpike spot. In the Florida Turnpike. There's a supercharger there. At Snake Road, you come across 75 from Fort Lauderdale to Fort Myers, right almost at the midpoint in the middle of nowhere. There's a 12 station Tesla supercharger. You pull in, just, it automatically debits your account. Charging. Let's go here. Free supercharger. We have 220 miles left. They gave us, because we bought the car, there was a special deal, and they gave us like 5,000 miles worth of free supercharger. We got 220 miles left. It expires in August. So, yeah. So we got to use it by August or it just goes away. It was a like a gift. See, there's my debit card. So whenever we go into a supercharger, it or the lease payment, it automatically hits that debit card. So my lease payment, which is like on the 18th of the month, automatically hits that account. Vehicle details. What the hell's that? The make, the model, the year. Does your vehicle have... yes, it does. This is like if you were driving a non-Tesla car, but it has the Tesla plug. Everybody that's going to make electric cars has agreed that the plug that's in the Tesla is the plug they're going to use. Toyota, Porsche, Mercedes-Benz, they've all agreed starting, I think, this year. They voted on it like 18 months ago. And every car manufacturer said, hey, these guys already have, 15,000 charging spots in the United States. If we build one, that's the first one. So if Tesla is going to be good enough, and Elon said, hey, you can use our charging network. We've got plenty of availability. And we're building 4 or 5 a week. So every 2 weeks I got another 10 or 12 parking charging spots. You see the hose is the green. There's a little bit of, when I move this thing back and forth, just to show you, it's putting in electricity at the rate of 25 miles per hour. So it's got 5 minutes remaining to top off the tank, if you will. It's plugged in at 7:30 in the morning. It's plugged in all night. So it's just sitting there. The battery's cooled down, and it only put in 69 miles overnight. So at 25 miles, per hour, in 3 hours, it was fully charged. See, now it's up to 70. It's put a couple of miles in. So now it's at 259. It'll probably end up at 260 by the time it's done. It's just a little tiny bit going in there. Crazy, huh? I love it. So how much service you done? None. What was your service expense over 3 years? 0? Not 10 cents. Nothing. Yep. What's there not to like about that? We had all kinds of other cars. Seems like every other month you were in service. You'd pay, 80 or 100 hours for, they'd change the oil filter. They'd do other things. They'd balance the wheels. It's like it averaged out about 100 a month. Tesla? None. Nothing. 0. What's going on with this package? Weirdest thing. My coffee maker's not working right. So I ordered another one from Amazon.com. And it just doesn't. It's supposed to be here somewhere between the April 2nd and April 8th of next week. It says shipped, but let's track it. You're seeing it live and in color. I'll touch that. It says shipped. See all updates. The package has left the shipper facility, but it doesn't say where. And it has a UPS tracking number. If I touch that and say track it, they say they don't have it yet. So they apparently made a shipping label. Show more. It's coming from Ocean City, New Jersey. UPS ground, weighs 10 pounds. Yeah. Well, I guess maybe Monday they'll actually take that. Cat's meowing at me. Anyway, I was circling back to this battery. They've come up, this company called Ion has come up with a new battery. It is called no swelling. So they call it a solid-state lithium metal battery. It's a brand new design that charges and discharges at least 1,000 times with no material degradation. You know, like I'm down about 18 miles in a year. If you got this kind of battery in there, it stays up there, and it's real light. It's a brand new design, so everybody's trying to, get better technology in the batteries. There's 2 or 3 companies that are working hard at it, probably more than that. This is a strange thing. New England Patriots Super Bowl champion drops dead at the age of 51. There he is. He is funeral arrangements for him. This came out 2 days ago. I read about it at 3:38 p.m. Ukrainian is speaking with the UK and France, try to get together for support against Russia in case they don't stop. They're trying to get a ceasefire, and Trump is trying to beat everyone over the head to stop. Here's a fellow that is in the Trump administration that's got a nationwide push on getting rid of these illegals that are breaking our laws. Serious breaking our laws, like murder, rape, assault, burglary, stealing cars, starting things on fire. I'm seeing this fire in Las Vegas. They found the guy that started those fires. He's in jail. Looked like an Asian dude, about 40 years old or so. There's Elsie Stefanik. She was supposed to be the U.S. UN ambassador. And Trump and her had a conversation and said, Elsie, we can't afford to lose you. Because if she takes the UN job, which she would get confirmed for, but they held her from getting confirmed in speaking with the Speaker of the House. He says, I don't know if we can, because he's been huddling with Trump saying, I don't know if we can have Elsie take that UN position. We really need her to stay as a congressperson in the state of New York. She won it by large margins, so she, in 2026, every 2 years they get reelected, right? So in that election, she'll get reelected. So her seat is not in danger, but we need her because the margin, we only have a 2 or 3 vote margin. And if we lose her, then it's a 1 or 2 vote margin. You know, we can't afford to lose anymore. I think there's 2 that already took other positions in the administration, and can't afford to lose anymore. So she agreed. So she's going to stay in the House of Representatives. Buffalo traces the best bourbon to a 6 flight blind test, a taste test against the biggest competitors. And where's her cat? I hear a cat meowing. Well, I think my cat wants to have breakfast. Anyway, we've tried this one. Yeah, Blanton's. That's marvelous. Got a little horsey thing on top. We got all the horses that you need for a collection. I don't know what you would do with it. We're not drinking that anymore. Plus, we had our favorite bartender at Chops. They used to serve a lot of that. I said, "Hey, save me those horses." So I got like 10 or 15 from Chops. Some of them were duplicates. And anyway. You heard about this Signal app. It's a special app that you can put on your phone. It's an app you put on your phone. And the advantage of this app is that it's not hackable. In other words, they call it end-to-end encryption. So it's encrypted in your device, your phone, and it's encrypted on the other end. So as it's going through, the servers from your phone to the next guy's phone, no one can hack the signal and translate the message you're sending. This is, it's not like top security clearance kind of thing, but the government actually recommends this for a much more secure network where you could communicate with other government officials safely. And what happened was, which you probably heard, is the editor, the senior editor of the Atlantic magazine, which is not friendly to Trump or the Republicans. They write all kinds of, it's a left-leaning magazine. Well, for some way or other, the editor's phone number was included in a text message that went out to like 7 or 8 people in the administration, from the director of national intelligence. I forget who was Waltz was his name. So he apparently pushed the button and he was supposed to include this 10th guy. I forget what it was, 10 or 11, somewhere around there. And someone put in the wrong phone number for this person that was supposed to get this message, with the 9 other people. So that one party that was added to the group didn't actually get it because they used the wrong phone number. And the guy, the luck of the draw, it turns out it's the phone number of the Atlantic magazine. So they're trying to research that to figure out how the hell his phone number got it in the contact information from this mystery guy. We haven't been told who that person is, or I haven't been able to see who that 10th or 11th part, because he didn't get the message. The Atlantic magazine guy got the message, along with the other 9 people. Oh boy. So they're in a mess. I'm trying to figure that out. They'll get to the bottom of it. Somehow or other, like someone transposed digits. I'm making that up. I don't actually know. But how would that happen? That the Atlantic magazine's editor's phone information got in the address book of the party that was supposed to be added to this group chat, talking about the Yemen attack that happened a couple of weeks ago. So we haven't heard the end of that one. That's what that's all about. And if you had it in your phone, that's what it would look like, in one of your home pages. I don't use the WhatsApp, that's the green one over there. And the Messenger, this other blue one, that's the Messenger that's tied in with Facebook. I don't use any of these. My messaging app is the messaging app that comes with the device. Here it is. There it is. I wonder why it's not lining up. Do I have too much stuff going on here at once? Let's close out. I got a lot of things. I can have too much stuff open. Whoa. Let's close out photos. I don't know what that is. Nope. That's voting for superchargers. Alright, I don't have anything open except for the UPS thing. Now let's try to... There we go. Daniel has a possibility for a promotion, a spot that opened up. So I have a 12-point message. I send it to myself, and if I like it, then I'll copy it and put it in Daniel's. Talking about golf here. There's Daniel, and there's Marilyn. There's Judy Dordell, that's her sister. She called me on the phone and said, I have a problem with this or that or whatever. So I cleared up her problem. I said, that'll be $29.95. I was joking. There's Robin. I think I lost my lanyard at her house. Thing that hangs around my neck. I had two of them. One for my press pass and the other one for my keys, and I can't find it. The one I had attached to my key thing. I think it's in her guest bedroom somewhere. I think I remember putting it in her yellow desk. Yeah, see? I believe it was left in the guest room in that yellowish desk. Or it's in the kitchen counter. And Brennan's trying to I think we're having lunch with Brennan. Alright, that's all I know. So have we enjoyed our coffee this morning? I hope we did. In this special 5 a.m. broadcast. It's now 7:43. So I think I'm going to hang it up. I think we had enough of this today. I touched on enough topics. So I'll either see you tomorrow early or Monday. Monday for sure at 8 o'clock. Alright? So you all have a nice weekend. 7:45, so now you can go have breakfast and then have another cup. I'm going to warm up this coffee a little bit somehow. Or make another one with my K-Cup coffee maker that's intermittently working. I got to replace one on the way. Yeah, I make tea through that. It's amazing. All right, we'll talk about that Monday morning.
It's 7:45.
7:45. It's a good time to stop. You all have a great weekend. I'm going to end this with 2 hours and 41 minutes we've been playing here. I'm supposed to end my podcast with this thing right here. You all have a great day.